It's hard to believe that in this day and age, an American president can never be thought of as obscure, inconsequential. I mean, the American president's now probably the most powerful man in the world, the leader of the free world, as some people often say. But in the early 19th century, of course, America wasn't nearly so prominent, and so a president slipping into obscurity probably didn't seem as odd, and probably no president became as obscure as John Tyler. John Tyler was the president that succeeded William Henry Harrison after his death after only 32 days in office. Harrison contracted a cold either from walking around or from his abnormally long inauguration speech and died, making Tyler the first vice president to replace the president. Now the thing was, the Constitution was very vague about the vice president replacing the president. Some thought he was just acting president, others thought he was officially the president. Tyler took it to be he was officially the president and took that banner up. He became president of the United States, took the oath of office and the entire whole 9 yards. But why Tyler fell into obscurity, why Tyler did almost nothing significant in his career. In fact, when you learn about him in a class, typically the only thing that's said is that he annexed Texas, which he did actually after the election where he was officially ousted from office. James K. Polk had already won the next presidential election, was going to be president, and Tyler was now in his lame duck period between the election and the inauguration, and he annexed Texas. That means he had 4 years as president in there. So what did he do in that time? Honestly, virtually nothing, because he couldn't. John Tyler was a Whig, sort of. He'd been a Democrat. He moved over to the Whigs. He was sort of a candidate to balance out to get William Henry Harrison from the North. Picked a Southerner, John Tyler, who'd been in line with Henry Clay before, to balance his ticket. And so Tyler was just that, a man to make people more confident in the South of William Henry Harrison's ability with a vice president who was also a Southerner from Virginia, John Tyler. And the thing is, though, the Whigs didn't really trust Tyler. In fact, Clay, who actually previously been allies with Tyler, as soon as he became president, found himself at odds with him and completely cut him off. So Tyler was now cut off from the Whigs. He had no alliance with them. He couldn't make any deals with them. They really didn't let him do much of anything. So maybe the Democrats would have a place for him. Well, of course not. He was in the opposing party officially. He ran as vice president of the opposing party, so the Democrats had no room for John Tyler. So Tyler found himself to be a president completely without party, completely isolated from both sides of the aisle, completely without any flexibility with Congress. So for 4 years, he held the office. Even though he made himself officially president by taking the oath, he really wasn't the president because he really had no power to wield. And at the time, foreign affairs weren't a big deal, which is the sort of office of the executive handles almost all foreign affairs, but there wasn't much to handle in those days. So he didn't have much to handle there. The annexation of Texas was about it. So Tyler becomes almost obscure and hard to teach in a class, honestly, because there's really not much to say to him other than he was the first VP to succeed to the presidency, and then he annexed Texas, with 4 years in between where virtually nothing happened. So John Tyler, he was president of the United States, but it's kind of hard to remember sometimes, and I hope that gives you a little historical perspective.